Good afternoon. Today I'm doing a review of Understanding Integrated Global Sourcing, a framework and case study. This article discusses the advantages of the increasing popularity of globalization and globalized sourcing. It essentially explains how the benefit of globalized sourcing is that they now have a larger pool of suppliers and there's increased competition. That increased competition will result in additional savings and better quality. And some of the companies that are utilizing globalized sourcing are reporting savings over 30% because there is a larger pool of suppliers that can be chosen from, and makes the market a little bit more competitive, which allows them to either lower cost or increase quality. However, still only 35% of companies identify themselves as global sourcing. In fact, 13% of companies identify that they still only use domestic sourcing. So you can see there's a huge gap in opportunity in this business strategy. Global sourcing is actually different from international purchasing, and there are levels basically that go from domestic shipping or domestic suppliers, which obviously is using suppliers that are domestic in order to procure your supplies. As companies become more, more integrated with other organizations, they'll sometimes make a purchase as a one-time thing, purchasing internationally. And it's still considered at that point just international purchasing. As they become more comfortable, though, and have built relationships, find companies that they have been able to build an acceptable protocol with, they start to increasingly include that as part of their business strategy, and that's where they would be considered to be global sourcing. And at the highest level, they are actually utilizing global sourcing in multiple facets of their business, not just the global purchasing department. So it becomes part of their entire business strategy. There are some characteristics of a good global sourcing program. One is resource commitment. So if you're going to do it, you've got to be able to commit the resources to global sourcing, because it isn't a easy process, which is why a lot of people don't do it. And that support has to come from the upper management. The process, so there has to be a well thought out process that is revisited multiple times and revised in order to ensure that business is the most efficient as possible. Because even though there's tons of potential for increases in productivity and increases in quality, there's also a huge opportunity for an increase in costs if it's not managed correctly. Organizational design, so cross-functional teams have to work together in the global sourcing plan to ensure that it's realistic for all departments. You can't just have one department that's making up this plan and then the rest of the departments come and go. There's no way we can execute this, or it doesn't fit into our plan. Information technology support. So participants in the global sourcing program have to have a wide range of data available through a global data warehouse. So they have to have access to the same information in order to be able to work the plan. Communication and coordination, pretty obvious, but there has to be worldwide strategy review meetings that consist of all the team members in order to mitigate the risks that they may have with the plan. And lastly, measurement. So there has to be an opportunity to evaluate the measurement and measure the performance of the suppliers and the capability, as well as monitor them throughout, because they're not always in the same place or locality. And then also how are those financial projections adding up with the global sourcing program, because it's a great program, but if it's not financially beneficial, then it doesn't make sense for the company. This article is right in line with the chapter discussing global sourcing. My opinion of it, though, is that global sourcing is a very complex topic, which is why so many companies aren't comfortable delving into those waters. So though it was a really good and informative article, it's more informational. It doesn't really blueprint what you need to do, because everything is so unique with each company, every aspect of the business, that you couldn't really take this and say, okay, I know how to implement my own global sourcing plan now. Otherwise, good article, long, little techie, but overall good read. Thank you.